What's going on, people? Fight recap: Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin. And I got a lot to say about this one, obviously. Anthony Joshua, the biggest boxer in the world in terms of popularity, comes in at his biggest weight ever. I honestly don't know what his reasoning was behind that. I it's kind of speculated before the fight. Maybe this meant he was going to bring more pressure. Maybe he was going to try and knock him out early, but I didn't really see that. I think this fight was kind of a dud. Anthony Joshua won clearly. There was very little resistance. I thought Jermaine Franklin put up a good effort, and I think he's a very durable heavyweight, albeit a very limited heavyweight. He's an undersized heavyweight who doesn't have a lot of power, doesn't really put punches together. But he did what he was supposed to do. He came in there and he, showed up and was durable. So maybe he could be a gatekeeper in the future. I doubt it, but I think the bigger takeaway is that Anthony Joshua, he didn't look spectacular. He still looked timid. He still looked a little stiff. I didn't see anything in this fight that really impressed me. Now, I understand he's coming off of 2 losses to Usyk, 3 losses in his last 5 fights going into last night. I get all that. And I get that he switched trainers again. He went from Ron McCracken to Robert Garcia to now Derek James. So I understand you have to work on some new things in your game and whatnot. But I'm just saying this. If this was a pay-per-view fight in the States, I would have been irate. And I think it was pay-per-view over there in the UK. But, yeah, I mean, that was not pay-per-view material from the opponent to the performance, really anything. I think I had a 118, 110 for Joshua. The actual fight itself, Joshua did find an opening for the right hand. He did jab okay-ish. But he's still the same problems that I always see in Anthony Joshua. He's stiff. He waits too long when he throws the punch to kind of look at his work. He doesn't have fast twitch, which he's never going to get. He is there to be hit. He is a very basic fighter in a lot of ways. He doesn't feint. He has a very predictable rhythm. And I'm just going to say it right now. This Anthony Joshua, he would have gotten stopped by Tyson Fury last night. He would have. And this is coming from someone who thinks that, that he has a great chance of beating Tyson Fury when Anthony Joshua was on his game. Because I think styles make fights, and that's a tough stylistic matchup. But that, Anthony Joshua, no, he's not beating Tyson Fury like that. He's not beating Usyk, obviously, like that. Deontay Wilder knocks him out like that. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think he beats Joe Joyce, that version that I saw last night. Jared Anderson, does he beat? I mean, we could go on and on and on. I mean, he did not look like an elite heavyweight. He looked like a good heavyweight fighting a journeyman. But he needs more fights with Derek James, because we got to keep in mind, Joshua, he was knocking out Povetkin, Dylan White. I know that was younger Dylan White. Klitschko, Brazil, Takam. That guy is not the guy that we saw last night. Now, I understand you want to get the rounds in, you want to win. Famous saying in boxing, win good, win today, look at the next fight. Win this fight, look at the next fight. After the fight, there was some kind of scuffle. I really don't know what that was. Honestly, that was almost as interesting as the fight itself. Just was not a very good night. And it's actually funny about Eddie Hearn, because his fighters either get upset when he does these big fights like Joshua Ruiz, Canelo Bivol, Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos, all these kind of fights, these massive upsets happen. Or what happens is when you do a big fight with Eddie Hearn, it just doesn't, it's a dud. Triple G, Canelo Triple G 3, and now this one. But he's going to have to step up his opposition. Now, I know after the fight, Anthony Joshua said that he would be open to fighting Tyson Fury. I think he, in the moment, would be, but I think when him and his team go over it, they're going to say, you know what? This is not the right course of action. He should fight Dylan White next, because I think he needs a few more fights. And Derek James alluded to this. Anthony Joshua needs a few more fights till he fights at that top level again. You can't just go back into the killers of the division. Now, someone brought this up. When Tyson Fury fought Otto Wallin, he looked worse than Anthony Joshua did versus Jermaine Franklin. First off, I think Otto Wallin's a better fighter than Jermaine Franklin, but notwithstanding, that is a good point. People don't remember the Otto Wallin fight, but Fury didn't look great in that fight. And he got cut up, and it was controversial that the ref didn't even stop the fight. But then the next fight, he came in there and knocked out Wilder. So this fight with Joshua Franklin, it's not important depending on what happens next. And Anthony Joshua said, nobody's going to remember this fight, because they're not. If he goes in there and knocks out Tyson Fury, they're not going to remember this. If he gets knocked out by Fury, they're not going to remember. This fight is not an important fight in terms of how he looked. It's just important from the standpoint of he won the fight, he got better, and good for him. As Vladimir Klitschko said, a win is a win. But was I impressed with Anthony Joshua? Absolutely not. I give his performance a 6 out of 10, even though I usually don't do those kind of things. I don't do ratings. But this was not a very impressive performance. No, it really wasn't. But it keeps things going, and we'll see what happens next for Anthony Joshua. And we'll see if he's still a major player in the heavyweight division. But, yeah, can I, like, walk away from this fight feeling great? Like, yo, Anthony Joshua's back? No, I didn't. Like, I was like, okay, he clearly beat a guy who was there for him to be beaten. Like, you know, and it's not even the fact that he didn't stop Jermaine Franklin, because it's not as black and white to me as, oh, you stopped him, you got to knock this guy out. If you don't knock him out, it's an L. Not literally an L, but it's a disappointment. You can win in decision, even at heavyweight, even Anthony Joshua, and still look really good. I didn't really see that. Like, if he would have been, like, landing combinations and going to the body and slipping punches, and Jermaine Franklin just was surviving or whatever, you know, or he even dropped Franklin once or something like that, even if you didn't stop him, you could walk away from that saying, okay, he did well. I didn't see that. It looked like just a glorified sparring session, and there were occasional moments. I give Joshua credit. He was never really on the ropes, and I think that's more attributed to Franklin's lack of skill, but I'm just not impressed. Anthony Joshua, I think, should try to get a few more fights under his belt and then fight the big fights. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.